Are you talking it up or talking it down? Do we live in a positive or a negative world? What sells newspapers? Bad news, isn't it? When you switch on the news, what do you see? Bad news, isn't it? Now, the great news in life is this, that when you see what's happened, you know, stock markets crashing, the cuts that are going on, oil prices, crime, the whole thing, we do live in a negative world. And the great news is that life is a game of choices. And we have one innate ability over every other animal species that was put on this earth. And the advantage that we have is that we have absolutely 100% control over how we choose to think. It's a choice. So over the next 5 minutes, we're going to explore a couple of those choices that are available to us. So number one, choice one. We could decide to subscribe to the negative world in which we live in. That is a possibility. So let me just give you some examples to bring it to life. I want you to look at that formula. I'm not going to ask you to guess what the formula is. I'm going to give you a clue. That formula appertains to Monday the 24th of January. Does anybody wind back their videos in their mind and remember what Monday the 24th of January was, why it was a special day? Okay, say again. So this was the most depressing day of the year. January's Blues Days formula. And this is the formula that was calculated to work out why it's the most depressing day of the year. So let's go through the formula. Number one, the weather. You wake up in the morning, it's dark. You get home from work at night, it's dark. And that continues through the winter months. Pretty depressing time of year. Debt. Interesting dynamic. You sat there at your kitchen table. You've got 3 pieces of paper in front of you. You've got your bank statement. You've got your wage slip and you've got your credit card bill. And you're looking at the 3 and the figures across the bottom don't tally from all the spend you did on your credit card over Christmas. So debt is pretty bad at this time of year. Your motivational levels. January the 1st, you set your New Year's resolutions. One of them was, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. Monday the 24th of January, you're doing your self-audit. Guess what? You've been once. What happens to that goal? That's ripped up, that's gone in the bin. And our general motivational levels and the need to take action. So picture the scenario. You wake up, it's Monday the 24th of January. You're getting ready to go to work, you switch on your TV. There on breakfast TV, the guy who created this formula is sat there on the settee being interviewed. You climb in your car, you drive to work. What are they talking about on Radio 1? The Blues Day formula, it's the most depressing day of the year. You call at the petrol station, fill your car up, you buy a newspaper. What's the headline on the front page of the newspaper? Monday the 24th of January, most depressing day of the year. You walk into work, one of your colleagues asks how you are, what do you say? I'm depressed. Why? Because Monday the 24th of January, the world gives us permission to be depressed today. We might as well just make it another bank holiday, don't we? They seem to be giving us plenty of those at the moment. What about that one? Monday the 7th of February, anybody know what that day is? Why that's special? I'll give you a clue. HR would know this. We've got any HR in the room. Pardon? Duvet Day. Pretty close, actually. This is National Absenteeism Day. This is the highest absenteeism day in the whole of the calendar year. Why are you writing that down? Monday the 7th of February. So let's look at another one. Another formula. 17th of June. Anybody has to guess what that one is? National Happiness Day. There's the formula. The fact you go home at night, the weather's nice, the sun's shining. Does it make a difference when the sun shines? You bet it does. You get home, you wake up in the morning, it's light. You go home at night, it's light. You can go to the park, sit in the garden, have a barbecue, have a drink. Your summer holidays, the bank holidays, the temperature. It's a pretty good time of year. Now, why am I sharing these formulas with you? Why am I sharing these formulas with you? What can you learn from them? Choice. It's a choice. And we talked about choice one. And if I just wind back for a moment, the reality is this. For some people, 365 days of the year are Monday the 24th of January. And I'm sure we all know people like that. And you look in your diary and you suddenly realise that time of year's come around when you've got a meeting with that person. It's like, oh no. And you will do everything to try and get out of that meeting with that individual. Why? Because they're the emotional hoover. They suck all the energy and the life out of you. What's it like when you spend time with negative people? How does it make you feel? It drains you, isn't it? It's like a suction vacuum that just sucks all the energy. You come out of the meeting, you think, where's the nearest plug socket? I need 240 volts of charge to get your energy levels back up there. So for some people, every day is Monday the 24th of January. And just imagine that if their external language that they're communicating is negative, just imagine the conversations they're having inside their own heads. For other people, every day is Monday the 17th of June. And my message is this: make a conscious choice about where you want to be on the scale. And if we have our scale of 1 to 10, 1 being Monday the 24th of January, Friday the 17th of June being the other end of the scale, make your choice about where you want to be. But make it a conscious choice. Because if you leave it to subconscious, then it's easy to be sucked into the negative world in which we live in, because of all the negative messages that are around us. So it takes conscious thought, action, and endeavour, which leads me nicely on to choice 2, which is we do create that winning mindset. And would you say that guy's got a winning mindset? And what's fascinating is, I still remember the first ever Grand Prix race that he won 3 seasons ago in his inaugural season. And it just so happened his first race ever won was the Canadian Grand Prix. And I can still picture the headline in the newspaper on the Monday morning. And the headline said this: Canada high, I knew I'd win. And when it went into the body copy, it said, open quotes, I always knew I was going to win. It was just a question of when and where. Now really think about that for a moment. I always knew I was going to win. It was just a question of when and where. If you've wired your whole physiology, your self-belief, your confidence, your vision with that level of belief, what's going to happen at some point? What's going to happen? You're going to win, which inevitably Lewis Hamilton did. It just so happened to be the Canadian Grand Prix. Now, what that didn't tell you was, when Lewis Hamilton was 10 years of age, he used to race karts as a child. And at one of the karting events, in the evening, there was a dinner. And the guest speaker was Ron Dennis. Ron Dennis used to be the boss of McLaren. And after dinner, Lewis Hamilton walked up to Ron Dennis. And he said, Mr. Dennis, I just wanted to come over and introduce myself. My name's Lewis Hamilton. And I just wanted to put you on notice that sometime in the future, I'm going to win a Formula One Grand Prix race for McLaren. He was 10 years of age. Now, what made him special? Did he have skills innate that he was born with within his DNA and his genetics? Maybe. Did he have encouraging parents? Probably. But what made him really special is how he chose to think. And that is one component that is absolutely within our control. Where do you think he set his bar? 6 foot or 100 foot? 200 foot. He'd already seen himself stood on the podium from 10 years of age. He'd seen himself tasting victory. He'd smelt the air. He'd tasted the champagne. He'd heard the crowd. He'd visualised looking out across the crowd with them all stood there, cheering as he just completed that Grand Prix. All he was doing for the rest of his life was living out his movie. So my question for you is, what's your compelling picture of the future that you're creating? Are you really creating and programming your winning mindset about what it is that you want to achieve? You know, there's a great expression that says, live your life as if all your dreams had come true and challenge reality to catch up. Live your life as if all your dreams had come true and challenge reality to catch up. Now, in 99.9% of situations, that works. The only time it doesn't work is when you're going down the motorway at 105 miles per hour and there's a blue flashing light in your rear-view mirror. Because let me tell you, reality catches up with you pretty quick. Personal experience. So, let's look at a couple of other people. Who's that? J.K. Rowling. She was broke. She was sat in a coffee shop, looking in her purse. She had pennies left. She didn't even have enough money to pay a heating bill. And she went, my life's not good enough. I need to do something different. I need to raise my bar. That's when she started to create, and she had the vision to write the Harry Potter series. now when you look at the contribution and the charity work she does and the difference she makes in society, both through the charity work and also through the books that she's written, boy, is she a contributor to society. Richard Branson, where do you think he sets his bar? 6 foot, 100 foot? Somebody said that to me the other day, said space. That's where he sets his bar. Or now, where is he going? He's going down to sea, isn't he? Sea level or whatever his next mission is. There's no limiting beliefs in his mind. He suffers from one of the worst forms of dyslexia. That's not held him back. He's programmed his winning mindset. Some of our Olympians there. Lewis, we talked about. Bill Gates. Anybody know what Bill Gates' vision was when he set Microsoft up? Bearing in mind he was a dropout from university, he set Microsoft up from the back bedroom of his parents' house. Anybody know what his vision was? Say again? Home computer in every single house across the world operating Microsoft Windows operating system. That was his vision. Still has it on a scrap bit of paper today. He's got pretty close to his vision as well, hasn't he? Apart from in China where they rip off his software. Usain Bolt. The final one I like, Edison. What did Edison invent? Light bulb. Light bulb. And Edison was being interviewed and the reporter said to him, Mr. Edison, I can't believe you've had 999 failures in creating the light and the light bulb. And Edison went, stop there, young man. I've not had 999 failures. I've just found 999 ways not to do it yet. Different mindset, isn't it? It's a different mindset. So, a couple of things I want you to be thinking about. Number one, what you say will be the way. So, start to listen actively to your own language patterns, both the language and the conversations you have in your own heads, but also the external language of how it manifests itself in the conversations that you're having with other people. Because what you say will be the way. If we set our bar at 100 foot, guess what? We'll get to 100 foot, or we'll get close to it. If we set our bar at 6 foot, that's where we'll be. What you think about, you become. If you think you can or think you can't, you're probably right. And the great news is, who's it down to? The great news is, it's your choice. You have absolute 100% control over how you choose to think the moment that you walk out this door. I don't know whether anybody's read King of Shaves, the story of the King of Shaves when he set up the whole business. There's a great quote that I've stolen from the front of his book. I thought it was fantastic. You know, that's about a winning mindset. Someone said there was a recession on, I chose not to participate. What a great line that is. But how true is it? Because there will always be businesses and individuals that are successful in good times and bad times. And it's so easy to get on a negative spiral and talk it down as opposed to talking it up. And if enough people start to talk up the opportunities that are out there and the difference that we can make, then guess what? We'll absolutely drive and achieve our goals, both individually and collectively, of what we want to achieve and where we want to be aspirationally. And I do have a final default mode that if all else fails in Program Your Winning Mindset, then the two frogs. And what's the two frogs? These two frogs were hopping around in a farmer's yard. And they saw a bucket of milk. And they went over and they jumped in the bucket of milk. And they drank it all till they fell to the bottom of the bucket, fat and bloated. And all these negative frogs gathered around the top of the bucket. And they started shouting to the two frogs inside, the farmer's coming, he's going to get you, you're going to die. And these two frogs looked at each other. Then they started to jump feverishly like this, trying to get out of the bucket. But because of all the milk that had curdled in their stomachs, they couldn't jump high enough. And there's more negative frogs gathered around the top of the bucket. And they're jumping away like this, trying to get out, until one of the frogs falls to the bottom, defeated. But the other frog kept on jumping. And just as the farmer gets close and he's picked up the spade and he's about to hit this poor frog on the back of the head and kill him, he takes one last leap, jumps over all these negative frogs and manages to get away. How on earth did he do it with all these negative frogs around him? Let me tell you, he was deaf. He thought all the other frogs were cheering for him. You know, what's the moral of the story? Sometimes in life you've just got to be a deaf frog. There will always be people who say, don't set your bar so high. Why are we aiming there? You can't achieve that. Why don't you lower your expectations? And I think in life, it's about setting our bar high. It's about programming our winning mentality. It's about becoming determined, focused, and tenacious about the pursuit of our goals, and with every ounce of our being, embarking on the journey in turning those goals into reality. And if we get the winning mindset, we set our bars high, and we close out all the negative stuff that's around us, we can get to where we want to be, both individually and professionally.